we're coming up now on 25 years since this all started. I mean, when you hear that it's been that long, what goes through your head? What do you think about it?
I guess it's almost surreal. Like, I actually didn't think about the fact that it was going to be the 25-year anniversary until, like, I think you said it, and a couple other media people had pointed that out, and I was like, oh, 25 years, okay. It's very weird to think about. So it's surreal. And then I kind of just like reflect on how I've started to do more of the interviews and, with this job that I'm starting, and kind of just have started to take on things myself, and like how far I've come just in the past, 8, 9 years. So
Well, and the last time we talked with you, I think, was around 9 or 10 years ago, and we
yeah,
still have that interview. But since then, to that point, how
yeah.
far have you come in that time? What's changed?
I have done a lot more, of the interviews. The page that I made, kind of just started out as a Remember Kimber Biggs. It was more of a way for me to cope and, just talk about her and keep her memory alive. And it turned into a justice page. And I've let detectives come and I went down to the police station and they looked through messages that people have sent me tips, and, have kind of used it as more of an advocacy page to hopefully find answers, and that has led me to, more media presence, the Missing in Arizona events, and then of course it led me to the job that I'll be doing with the National Criminal Justice Training Center.
Well, I was certainly going to get into that too, but to that point, when did that start? How did you get in touch with them? Where did the idea come from? What happened?
So I met Detective Summershoe through the Missing in Arizona events, and he recommended me. I guess he retired and started working with them, and they wanted someone for the family perspective portion of the education course. And he's like, I immediately thought of you. I feel like you'd be perfect for this. And he kind of told me about it, and he said, would you want me to refer you to them? And immediately I was like, yes, it just felt right. It sounded amazing, and I got very excited. And so they reached out to me, and I went through the whole onboarding process and everything, and it's finally official. But I will be going to my first presentation December 5th.
It's coming up.
Yes.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Why do you think it felt right to you in that moment?
I think I've always wanted to do something in this field. I just didn't know where to go with it. I have done like support groups and stuff where you talk with other victims, and I love that, and I'm very passionate about it. But this feels more like hands-on and direct. Like the root of how to handle missing persons cases. And hopefully solving them, or even hopefully preventing missing children. But I would say it felt right because I finally found the direction I was looking for, and I'll be teaching law enforcement, and it just seemed very exciting, and it just was a perfect fit.
So, what's your official title then when it comes to this new role?
I mean, it's just associate. So I'm kind of like I guess almost like contracted kind of thing, rather than like, an hourly type thing. So it's just when I travel, and they need me to do a presentation. So my official title is just associate. But yeah, I'll be teaching like the course is a 3-day course, and I will be opening the course with my presentation, and I'm actually working on it right now. I have to have it done this Friday, so it's a whole thing about my background, about Mikkel, and things that they, in my experience, did right and that worked well for our family, and then things in my experience that I feel like they could improve on.
What's something that, what's a misunderstanding that, in your mind, law enforcement has when it comes to families of missing people?
I feel like, at least from when I was a child, one of the things I noticed or remember, I guess, is I don't remember specifically someone clarifying things for me. You know, my parents were in a frenzy. You know, media showed up so fast. There was law enforcement everywhere, you know, strangers all in my house and volunteer groups that were like immediately there. And it went from like a little bit of confusion to like complete chaos very quickly. And I don't specifically recall anyone explaining to me exactly what happened. And, you know, they wanted to ask me questions and find out what happened. I was the last one to see her. And, you know, the officers that spoke with me were like very friendly and kind and understanding. But that is one of the things that I would say would be helpful, you know, to a child, explaining to a child in a way they can understand what is happening and what's going to happen. And, you know, that's something now that I am an adult and I have, you know, CPTSD from this and I have anxiety. One of the biggest things that I struggle with is worrying about what's going to happen. And I think that that could kind of help maybe negate some of those side effects. And then I guess I would just say more proactiveness in advocating for the families to get you know, help beyond the initial response. You know, they connected us with the, you know, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they connected us with a psychologist. But it was just like a one-time follow-up, you know, a check-in to see how I was doing, and then I never saw anyone again. And you know, I just feel like that should have been something where, with the state that my parents were in, you know, the organizations and law enforcement maybe do a little more advocating for that because it's crucial. You know, I was disassociated at that point, so the psychologist thought I was fine.
Do you talk about those are things you'd like to see? Do you think that's happening sometimes, that there is more awareness from law enforcement to help out victims' families more so in this way, or do you still think that's really lacking and that's where you come in?
I feel like there's probably a huge improvement. You know, I mean, just the idea of mental health has, you know, it's more accepted now, where it's thought of. So I'm sure it's improved, and that is actually something, you know, for my presentation, I plan on interviewing various law enforcement and, you know, people that actually worked directly with me back in the day, and kind of just to clarify some things, make sure everything that I have is factual, and how is it now. So I would guess that it's definitely improved, but I would say that moving forward, the biggest thing that I need to do is talk to the detectives and stuff and find out exactly how things were, because there were things that as a child I wasn't privy to knowing. And so I would like to know exactly how it was, and then I can go from there to determine more improvements.
Over 25 years, have you spoken with other families going through what you went through, something similar, and what did you learn from talking with them?
Yeah, at the Missing in Arizona event, I met you know, Kristen Thalen, her sister, Brandy Myers, was kidnapped. Through the Missing in Arizona event is really how I got connected with other people, because I have never really known anyone else who, you know, knew someone who was kidnapped.
You know, everyone's experience is different, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you know, what was your takeaway? Was your from those conversations? Do you think, was it more so that there's a lot of similarities? Or was it more so everyone's situation is different because people process things differently, or, you know, a mix of both? What were you thinking?
I would say maybe a mix of both. You know, it's interesting to see the long-term effects that other people also deal with. You know, that type of trauma causes the anxiety and, you know, a lot of difficulties just navigating general things that maybe people who don't have anxiety or PTSD don't even think about, they don't struggle with. So, you know, it's nice to know that it's not just me, like I'm not alone in that, but then on the other side of that, it's very different. Everyone's situation is different. You know, how it happened or who did it is very different. You know, how the family handled things is very different. So it's definitely a mix of both, but it helps knowing simply that you're just not alone.
What are you hoping to get out of this new role? What's your goal at the end of the day? You know, how long do you hope to do this for, and What's your goal with this new opportunity?
I would personally love it if it could turn into something like a full-time kind of career. If I could, eventually teach my own course, and there's so many different options, and it's so hard to like totally determine since I haven't officially started like actually traveling and presenting. But I feel like, just the people that I've already worked with, and what I've learned about, you know, the organization so far is that it's great and it could be something really big. And so I'm definitely very open to options.
Just in terms of the case, Mikkel's case, what's the feeling like when you get all those messages? You get so much attention, people who want to help or people who think they have information. Just is it overwhelming to have so many people try to get in touch with you to talk about this, even if it's helpful? What does that feel like? Just the sheer amount of people.
Definitely overwhelming. I actually deactivated the page for a while. I couldn't handle it anymore. A lot of people will reach out, and I always appreciate it. Generally I try to tell people at this point, like, there is an anonymous tip line. You can call Mesa PD, you can call the anonymous tip line. You don't have to bring it to me, because for me to go through, Facebook messages and then try to relay all of that to detectives, it's a lot. And I don't particularly like reading some of the stuff they say. And a lot of things that are brought forward are old things. They're like recycled information. The police used to float things in the prisons to try to like suss people out. And so somehow now people know about these things and they bring them to me. And then I never know if that's something that, the police originally floated in the prison, or if that's, just like the rumor mill. And it definitely brings out a lot of interesting folk. And then it also brings out a lot of just very, very genuine, kind people who really think they know something. And I don't personally have the skills to determine what's, real or worth looking into. So then I have to deal with transferring it all to the detective. And, like I said, I had to deactivate the page for a while, and then I did decide to like reactivate it, and I've kind of been on there, but I do have the messaging turned off. I don't want tips. I used to say people could send me tips, and now I'm trying to very kindly let people know, do not send me tips. If you need to know how to turn in a tip, I will let you know, but it's too hard.
How do you deal with that?
Honestly, I get anxiety and I get like a panic attack. Usually, most of the time, it will make me sick. Like if someone sends me a tip, it's like an immediate, in your chest and your gut, and you're just like shut down. And I either get very upset and emotional, or I completely shut down and I have to like not deal with it in that moment. So it's really hard. I am definitely working on reacting to those kinds of things better, but it would be nice if I didn't have to worry about reacting to those messages.
Where is your head at when it comes to the case? Obviously unsolved, but there's a suspect now in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you just in terms of the clarity or lack of clarity that's there, and just where your head's at this time, 25 years later?
I feel like it's so hard to like even pinpoint exactly where I'm at. My family has always felt that D. Blaylock was responsible, and I feel like that is very possible, and it's just hard not knowing for sure. We have a gravesite for her, and I don't go there very often because she's not there. There's not a body to visit kind of thing, and we don't actually know what happened. How long was she alive after she was taken? How did it go down? And so it's just a lot of uncertainty and unanswered questions, and it's very uncomfortable. I would say for me, I feel like the best thing that I can do is maybe not so much hyper focus on that at this point, and that's another contributing reason why this job seemed like a great opportunity, because I'm still helping in that realm of missing persons, but I'm not focusing everything into something that so far I haven't been able to get clarity on. And I feel like I can make progress in another way, and, hopefully, you know, divine intervention or something comes around and it brings up something new. Just the fact that I'm going to be doing this job has brought more media attention. So more people are going to hear about it, more people are going to want to help, more people will be interested, and maybe something new will come up.
How has the past 25 years affected how you are as a mother now, how you are as a family now with your son?
I always say I'm a helicopter mom, because I totally am. I work on it, but I'm definitely very overly cautious. My son, his best friend lives right down the street, and I don't let him go down there alone. It's just been very recently that if his friend comes over, they're allowed to walk back down there together, kind of thing. But even then, I'll kind of, go stand outside and watch him walk down the street. Which, most people, that doesn't seem like a big thing. They're in their neighborhood, their kids playing together, they're going 6 houses down. But I think of it, my sister was kidnapped 3-4 houses down from my house. So for me, that hits completely different. And it's just in anything like that. If you go to the park, or, we went to a farm, the pumpkin patch and everything, and he is always within arm's distance of me. And he knows, we talk about it. I'm very open with him, at an age appropriate level of, he knows that his Aunt Mikkel was kidnapped, and, that I have fears, and that it's good for, him to communicate and be honest with me, and to be safe, and to be aware of his surroundings, and, to just make sure that he's not wandering off, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely a helicopter mom.
But like you said, I think that's understandable, and
Yeah.
if you're on the same page,
Yeah.
makes sense.
And luckily, his dad understands, and we, work very well together in that, and he's very supportive of making sure that, we're overly cautious, kind of thing. And it's not weird to him that I'm like that. So that's always nice.
For this new job, what was the training like once you said, yes, I want to do this? What was that training like, that process? How long did it take? What did it entail?
I did an orientation Zoom call, and then I went through a bunch of reading material, and had to do the Title IX and everything. But I'm actually doing a presentation on the 5th, but then I will be doing an observation on the 12th for another program. So I'm going to be teaching the IRST on the 5th, and then I'll be observing CART on the 12th. So I haven't officially gotten that's kind of the training. So I haven't officially gotten that, but I think it's going to be more, on the job training. So, which is scary, but I appreciate that they feel confident that I can just jump in and get going with it.
And this is through the federal government? Is that right? The program's
yeah.
funded by the federal government?
Yeah. So it had to get passed by the DOJ, and it's funded by the government. It's Fox Valley Technical College has the National Criminal Justice Training Center.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
The presentation on the 5th, is that for a local police department? Is that for other law enforcement? Or I don't know what you can say, I guess.
It's in Pennsylvania, actually.
Okay.
So I'll be going to Pennsylvania. I know that where they're having it is at a fire academy. And I actually do not know how many people will be there, or, it's the IRST program. So anyone in that, but it could be more than that. It could be any sort of law enforcement, I guess. So it'll be interesting to find out.
If they told you a general what to expect range of how many of these you'll end up doing a year or anything like that?
Yeah, they were, they're very we don't want to take you away from your family. It might just be every other month kind of thing, and which I appreciate, but I was I'm really excited. I also have a preteen at home, so if you want me to travel more, I will. And it could be once a month. I'm hoping more. I let them know I was interested in doing as much as I can. So that's when they said, well, we also have the IRST program, not just the CART. So they're going to be using me for both.
And you said before you hope to make this a career, a full-time career.
Yeah. I would love to do as much with it as I can. And as I learn it and really see what it's about and get into it, then I would probably have a better idea of exactly what my options were.
What's the feeling you get I know you haven't gone out yet, but putting together this presentation and visualizing yourself doing this and talking with law enforcement in this capacity, what feeling does that give you?
It's very mixed feelings. Part of me is very excited. I have a lot of ideas, and it's almost frustrating how many ideas I have because I'm trying not to overdo the presentation. It's a PowerPoint, so I'm trying not to fill the slides with too much. So then I'm having all these notes on the side of what I'm going to be talking about, and it's exciting, and I'm very motivated. But then on the other hand, I'm also putting a lot of information there about who Mikkel was, and I'm going through the chronological timeline of exactly what happened the day she was taken, and then I'm going to be going over the after effects of that, and it's always very hard to reflect on that. I spent a few hours on the phone with my mom the other day, just asking some questions, kind of discussing that day, and it was very helpful. I took lots of notes, but then afterwards I wouldn't say a mess, but I was very emotional and completely drained, and it was okay, I need to step away. So it's really have to keep a balance with it. I can't get too fixated on it at one time. So it's a little hard just making the presentation, but I feel like once it's made and once I do it and I'm talking about it, it'll be easier. It's really just the getting all the background information. I'm going to be calling the detective later today, and I have a couple contacts of law enforcement that I'm going to be talking to as well. So it'll be nice to get that information, but I'm also nervous because I know that it's going to be hard to hear some of the stuff.
Well, these guys, I'm sure, help out a little bit.
Yes, I love them. I actually had another cat. She was very old, and she died not long after we got them.
Oh.
And so they've been nice to have.
How old are they?
They are 9 months old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really young.
Oh. We got them right at 3 months old.
Sarah.
Huh?
Sarah. That's the
Oh, okay.
Sarah, thank you.
And your son's 11, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, 11. He'll be 12 in May, so lots of fun. He's in junior high this year.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's. Oh man, what a time.
Yes, and I used to work at his school, so I definitely take advantage of that. I'm always checking in, and I guess
You know people there.
I know the people.
That helps, yeah.
Yes, which makes me feel comfortable, just being the helicopter mom that I am, knowing my old coworker so well, I know that I can trust where he's at and that he is safe at school, which is, a lot of people can't say that.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Well, I think that covered what I had, everything. Well, anything you
I'm good.
were wondering? Anything else that you want to add or say that you haven't said already that you think's important?
I guess maybe just to clarify, with this job that I'll be doing, I don't want people to misunderstand. I'm not at all, I don't have any ill feelings towards, the detectives or the Mesa PD or anything. Wanting them to improve is not looking down on them. And after my last interview, there were comments online, people basically saying that I was talking badly about law enforcement, which I'm absolutely not trying to do. It's just something that I would really like to get across to people is there is always room for improvement because it's never too much when it comes to a missing person, especially a missing child. You cannot do too much too right. There's no such thing. And I would just like people to really recognize that and, know if you haven't been through it, you can't truly speak on it and know what it feels like, and that it comes from a very good place.